Hello, everybody. This is Amanda Jelks here, and I am so honored and excited to welcome PJ Dixon with us today. PJ has been gifted with a disability in this life and has had an extraordinary existence so far in his time on this planet. PJ, can you tell us a little bit about all of the amazing things you've been doing? It's a
Well,
long
throughout my
time.
life. So sure, the short nutshell version is that I have a very rare form of muscular dystrophy. I was only expected to live until I was 7 years old, and I've lived 42 years longer than I was expected to. When I was 12 years old, there were 25 people in the world that had what I have. And I say had what I have because, again, I was only expected to live till I was 7. So I don't know if any of those people are still alive. So I always say this, if I had to have a disability, I got a really good one, right? Because if you're going to get one, at least let it be a cool one. So I'm super, like I'm 4 feet tall in my wheelchair, 5'1" maybe if I were standing up. I'm super duper thin and skinny. I'm about 80 pounds. There's a crazy curvature in my back for anybody who can't actually see me. And even seeing me right now, what you're seeing is like my shoulder blades are hooked to the back of my wheelchair to hold my spine relatively straight. So if I let my shoulder blades off, I fall forward, I sag forward, and my belly button literally rests on the seat between my legs, and then I arch my back and curve myself up. So from the bottom of my ribs up, I'm upright. So I'm a funny looking little dude, but I've had an extraordinary life. Skydiving, water skiing, snow skiing. Although as far as water skiing goes, let me be honest, apparently you're supposed to ski on top of the water. I ski under the water, so I'm not a very good water skier. But I am a great snow skier. Indoor skydiving, outdoor skydiving, climbing in the Grand Canyon, 10th degree martial arts, black belt, meditation teacher,
God,
martial arts teacher. I've had a great life.
that's
Had a great life. So I don't let my disability stop me. When I was a boy, my mom used to say, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Henry Ford's quote. So I was raised by that. And this is the lifestyle that I live. I've spoken on stage since I was 7. I've, been a relationship coach, a love coach, a life coach, a transformational coach for the past 4.5 years. So, and really the truth is I've been doing it longer than that. I've only legitimately been calling myself that for 4 years. So anyway, that's a little nutshell about me. I've had an amazing life, tasted death probably 3 or 4 times. So, and come back every time. I guess I got something good to do. I always joke and say either I've got something good to do in this life or God's pissed and he's like, work off that karma, little man. I'm like, okay, that's probably the case. I'm probably in trouble somewhere.
I don't think so. And that's why I used the word gift when I introduced you.
I
Um,
know. I love that. That was fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. As we've spoken a few times before right now,
Yes.
it's so obvious to me as I look at the life you're living and the way you're inspiring other people and making change in this
Yes.
world.
Yes.
I think that your ability to do that has been amplified by the way that people see you.
Absolutely. People ask me all the time, why don't you have an electric wheelchair? And I say, because, well, there's a multitude of reasons, but one of them is if I give up, then you can give up. Right. And so I can't give up because if I give up and you give up, that means somebody in your life gets affected and learns to give up too. So plus, if I'm pushing my wheelchair every day, then other people, when they see me, they go, whoa, at least my life's not that bad. And, not that my life is bad, but that's a perspective for some people. And they begin to appreciate their life. So my disability is absolutely unquestionably a gift to other people. And I've known that probably since 7th or 8th grade. I probably knew it when I was much younger, but it didn't resonate the same way inside of me as it did when I started to become a man.
Wow. Something I really admire about you, PJ, is how
Yes.
authentic you show up. There are
Thank you.
so many people in different walks of lives
Mhm.
who do not lives
Yeah.
who do not have the courage to show up authentically as who they truly are with their purpose on their sleeve,
Yeah.
and you
Well,
do
thank you.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
you're welcome.
listen, here's the truth, right? Like you and I know people all over the world. And as coaches, as speakers, we know we have clients overseas, we have clients, in other countries. We speak overseas sometimes. Like I presume that you speak sometimes too. And if not, you should be. Um, but the truth is that everybody around the world is talking about authenticity. Everybody is craving that raw, authentic, vulnerable human self right now. Everybody just wants people to be true because they themselves just want to be true. We're tired of putting on masks. we're ready to remove the masks, take off the armor, put down the shield, and open up and just connect with each other. I actually read a post the other day, which was ironic. The guy said, "Hey, all you hippies in San Diego, stop just walking up and hugging me." He's like, "It's not that I'm not that I'm opposed to the hug. I just don't want to be hugged without being asked." And so for me, I think the moment you start to let down your shield, take off your armor, and open up your heart, you're saying, "Hey, I'm ready to be receptive to what the world, the universe is willing to give me." And that's receiving love. And that's, there's no shield or block between me and sharing my love now. And so for me, that's who I am. I've been named 4 times in my life, and every single one of my names translates as love. Pretty fascinating. My very first memory, spiritual memory actually, is of love. So my whole life is about love. That's what I know. That's what I believe in.
Wonderful. This kind of leads to why I actually invited you to be a part of this series. So as I was planning this, I was thinking to myself, we need to have a conversation on here about the courage needed to step into the leadership role that each of us human beings were put on this planet to fulfill and to live out. And when I started thinking about that topic, of course, you were a perfect fit because you are an example of that every day in showing up authentically and giving the example for other people to do the same.
Thank you.
So that leads me to my first question. I am curious, and I'm sure other people are as well, just about the fact that you could have used excuses to hold yourself small. You had great excuses, medical excuses, physical challenges, all kinds of different things. And all of us have excuses that we can use to prevent us from living a bigger life or from stepping into that place that does take courage to reach, where we're showing up as a leader. And I'm wondering why you chose to step into the courage, into that space to allow yourself to be authentic when there was so much working against you.
I have a good mom, and I think it starts there, to be honest. I think we're all born with a certain level of integrity, hopefully like complete integrity, pure integrity. However, that integrity still gets filtered through the human side of us. And at 4 years old, I remember standing at a gate or a fence, holding onto the fence, crying and watching my little friends get on a bus and go to school. And my mom came out and she's like, "Are you crying? Why are you crying?" And I said, "I want to go to school too, Mommy." And she said, "Oh, okay." So she took me to the doctor because she knew something was wrong. I didn't walk until I was 2. I had leg braces, before I could walk. And so when she took me to the doctor at 4 years old, the doctor said, "If you send him to school, he'll be dead by 2nd grade." That means 7 years old. And my mom in the doctor's office turned to me and said, "It's your life. You heard the doctor. What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to go to school, Mommy." And so ever since that moment, it's always been about my decision and my choice with my mom. And there were times when my grandmother would say, "Why do you let PJ do what he does? You let him sled and you let him ski and you let him do this and that." And she's like, "What if PJ gets hurt, or what if he dies?" My mom always said, from when I was little all the way up through becoming a young adult, my mom always has said, if PJ dies, he dies doing something he loves, and he dies with friends. I mean, at that point, most of the time I'd already lived a couple, 3 years by the time my grandmother started saying stuff like that, longer than I was supposed to. When I was 9 and 10, my mom would say, I'd yell to my mom, "Okay, Mom, I'm ready for you to help me get buttoned and zipped and tucked in." And she would yell back from her bedroom, "Okay, I'm busy. You keep trying." And I would say, "Okay." I don't know why I'm crazy. I have a crazy voice when I'm little. I'm like, "Okay." And so I would like struggle and fight to pull up my little zipper and snap my little snaps and tuck in my pants or tuck in my shirt. And my mom, while I'm fighting and struggling and twisting and writhing on the floor, trying to like get the right angle to get the right leverage to be able to snap my pants and zip up my zipper, my mom would be sitting in her bedroom crying, sitting on the end of her bed crying because she wanted to come help me. But she knew that if she came to help me, I would become dependent on her. And at this point, I'd already lived 2 and 3 years longer than I was supposed to. So that courage comes from my natural nature of wanting to serve and love and give to other people and protect people. I'm just naturally that way. However, it also comes from my mom saying, "Keep trying, don't quit." And, this is who I am. When I see people that are in pain, my heart goes out to them. Some people might say, that my mirror neuron in my brain is highly activated. Other people might say I'm compassionate. Other people might say I'm empathetic. It doesn't matter what you call it. When I see people suffering, I want to go to them and I want to help them out of their pain. It's always been my way. And so I think it's just a natural process for who I am. And if you fast forward, again, I'm a little dude in a wheelchair. I literally cannot lift up my arms without flinging them or using two hands to lift them. In fact, if I back up a little, just so people can see, you can see that the wheelchair back is right there, right? And you can see the curvature of my spine. And so if I lift my arms, I literally have to use two hands to lift them. You can see how tiny and skinny I am. But it doesn't stop me from doing what I do. I still have a number of occasions stepped in between a guy and a girl who were physically fighting just to protect her. There have been a lot of times I've stopped fights and people are like, you're going to get hurt. Probably. But you know what? As long as I see an injustice occurring, I can't sit by and let it happen. It's just in my nature. So I'm not sure that answered your question. I hope it did.
Yeah.
It gives you the background of who I am and the nature of my heart. And it does, look, everybody doesn't have to be like me, right? This is the important piece. Not everybody has to be like me. Everybody gets to be like them. What moves them, what speaks to their soul. If you're sad right now, if you're hurt right now, if you're struggling right now, if you're not where you want to be right now, that's your soul crying out saying, we want something else. We want something different. Listen to that. Listen to that yearning inside of you and allow yourself little bit by little bit, step by tiny step to move in a direction that really interests you, that really releases you and allows you to become the woman or man that you were born to be. You were literally born for a reason. Every single person is the puzzle piece of the jigsaw puzzle that makes up the universe and life, right? And as long as we play our authentic role, everything in our life works out beautifully, perfectly.
Wow. So there's a lot going on in the planet right now.
Yes.
A lot of stuff where we need to pay attention.
Yes.
With animal abuse and our environmental issues, and I could go on and on and on and on about all the injustices and just things happening that need our attention, need transformation to happen. And I've heard multiple mediums make the comment before, which really moved me, where they were saying that souls in heaven were in line to get a chance to come to the planet right now and be a part of this shift, this massive shift happening where we are moving into awareness and enlightenment and love and connection and oneness. And when I heard that the first time, it really affected me to start to take a minute to say, oh, it's not about looking at our situation as we're in a dire place and there's no hope and we're screwed and being in a perspective of fear. It's an opportunity to say, wow, I've been given the opportunity to come here right now to do things to make change. So let's roll up our sleeves and notice what are my personal gifts and what is it that I can contribute that starts to make those transitions happen. And that's why I wanted this conversation to be involved, because I think it's really important to just bring it to people's awareness of how, even if it seems challenging, even if it seems like my contribution would be so small, it matters. You're here on purpose. You're here for a reason. So I just want to, I guess, invite you into that conversation and ask, why do you think it is so important for people to step into their leadership right now and notice what's around them and contribute to making things as great as we possibly can?
So I'm going to drop it really deep for a minute, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it okay if I get spiritual?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's my perspective on that. Nothing in the world is not the divine. Okay. Some people are going to have some resistance to the word God. You can call it universe. You can call it pure potential. You can call it quantum energy, whatever you want to, the quantum field, whatever you want to call it. Let's not get hung up on a word, on the name, because like in Taoism, the Tao says that which is eternal cannot be named. That which is named is not the eternal. So for lack of a better word, I'm just going to choose a word and we'll go with that. For me, there's nothing, everything in the universe is God. That doesn't mean that all of me, that doesn't mean that I am all of God. It just means that all of me is God. Exactly like taking that drop out of the ocean, that drop is all ocean, but it's not all of the ocean. There's nothing in that drop that is not ocean, right? But there's that the drop itself does not hold the full ocean. So I am in essence the drop. You are in essence the drop. And so for me, that word namaste that comes from the yogic traditions and the Hindu traditions in India means the divine in me recognizes the divine in you. So from my perspective, it's always God talking to God. So our conversation the first time you and I spoke was just God talking to God. Our conversation right now, if I remove all of my ego, is just God talking to God. And I speak this way knowing that God is listening to God. So that what I'm saying this for is that I believe that all of the universe is conscious. That means you, that means me, that means the trees, that means the rocks, that means everything has a consciousness to it. It's a different kind of consciousness possibly than what humans have, but it's in that consciousness that allows the divinity to talk to divinity, like to the divine to talk to the divine and say, I like this or I don't like this. And so every living human being has a voice of some kind. And that voice, even if they can't speak, they have sign. And even if they can't sign, they have facial expressions. And if they have a flat affect, they can convey emotions. Even though their face may not convey something, they can express an energy from their being, right? So there's always a method of conveying what is needed or wanted and what we see as just. The universe is constantly in a state of chaos, but it's also constantly looking for balance. It's constantly looking for that natural ebb and flow, that yin and yang, that in and out, that masculine and feminine balance. It's constantly, in essence, making love with itself. And there's this process of when you are authentic with yourself, with what you believe in, with what you love to do, with what you find joy in, when you go and do that, you're filled with so much love and joy and energy and life and vibrancy, and it's super duper fun. And you share with people. And when you share with people, you up level everybody's energy around you. When their energy is up leveled, they take that up leveled energy. They're kinder in traffic. They're nicer at the grocery store. They're more generous to their family. And so when I come from my authentic space, then you get to come from your authentic space. And if you come from your authentic space, then you teach me to come from my authentic space. We're literally a symbiotic creature. We are literally all one, right? In the Hindu tradition, for example, they don't talk about oneness, right? Even though this book over my shoulder is called Oneness, they talk about non-duality. Non-duality meaning not two, but one. There's nothing that's separate. Within Buddhism, they talk about the oneness, the everything and the nothing, that nothing is really separated. And when you're in that state of presence, not being in the present moment, but being beyond the present moment is aware of my five senses or six senses or 10 senses, however we want to break them down, right? But in the presence where you realize that there's an energy, there's a life, there's a consciousness, there's an awareness behind what you see, what you feel, what you smell, what's inside of you and what's outside of you. And when you start to physically relax, what happens is it feels as if you're opening up, like the cells and the atoms and the nucleus and protons and the electrons, neutrons, the electrons and protons are opening up within the atoms, and that we realize we are just space. So the value of actually showing up with who you are is when you let go of the ego, you become everything. You become free. You become able to express yourself authentically. You're more free when you're vulnerable and more authentically influential when you're open and honest about who you are than ever when you try to be somebody that you're not. So right now, I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say. I'm feeling it. I'm softening the muscles of my face. I'm softening the muscles of my body. I'm softening any of the tension inside of me. And I'm only focused on the softness in my heart. And if I speak from the softness of my heart, the truth comes out.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That actually leads me into something I didn't really plan to mention, but I think it's important now.
Let's do
I
it.
was talking with one of my mentors a few months ago. I mentioned this to you on the phone the other day.
Mhm.
And she said something to me that really stopped me in my tracks and got me considering the connection of myself to other people. And she said, it is selfish of you to not be successful.
Yes.
And I really had to sit back a minute and think about that, because I always assumed that if I'm successful, it's for myself.
Yeah.
If I go out and create abundance, it's for me, it's for my own family. And she helped me to recognize that, well, actually, that was an ego perspective. That wasn't from truth.
Mhm.
And just the fact that we are so connected, like you just mentioned, if I'm creating a space where I'm allowing abundance and success, I'm creating that for other people as well. And vice versa, they're creating the space for me to do the same. So I've noticed as I kind of sat back and reflected on the past few years, I get stuck in my business, or I get stuck in my life situation when I'm only thinking about myself. When I'm staying in that ego perspective of me, all of a sudden things can feel too hard and too difficult. And I can't show up as a leader. I can't put myself out there on the internet. I can't have this talk. I can't be honest about my opinion to this client. So I would let myself play small when it was about me. But when I allowed myself to remove that ego from the conversation and recognize that, well, actually, it's about oneness, and that's me being selfish when I make it about myself, everything shifted, everything completely shifted. And now I see that, well, actually, it's my responsibility to serve. I've been put on this planet to contribute on purpose. So if I'm not doing that, the success will come with that. That's how it works. But it's not about personal success. It's about contribution. And the success follows contribution to the overall oneness.
I think there's, yeah, I think that there's something in here that people may not hear. They'll hear it, but they'll wax over it, I think, because they get tripped up over the word abundance and manifesting. It's contribution, right? You said contribution twice. It's about contribution. It is about contribution. But if I invite you over to my house, I'm like, barbecue PJs. People are like, yay, free food. And everybody shows up, right? Everybody gets to my house. And I'm like, what up? They're like, what up? Let's go to the fridge and get some food. I'm like, yeah. And we go to the fridge. Apparently this means go to the fridge, right? And so we go to the fridge and we open up the refrigerator door. And I ain't got no food in there. If I don't have any food, I can't share something. So if I don't have love, I can't share love. If I don't have financial abundance, I can't share my finances. If I don't have an abundance of wisdom or kindness or generosity, I can't share these things. Contribution is what it's all about. It's about pouring into each other and also simultaneously being open and receptive to receive, right? If we think about love, love is always giving. Does love receive? Love can receive, but the irony is that when love opens up and receives, it simultaneously gives. It's again the act of making love. As we're receiving pleasure, we're simultaneously giving pleasure. And so this is really important. If people realize that all of the universe is abundant, if you take the spiritual out of the abundance, out of the universe, you just look at it as a quantum field theory, you look at it as just pure potential energy, that everything is built on energy, and anything that ever was and anything that ever will is built from energy, and everything or will be is built on energy, is built from energy. Energy is the building blocks of the universe. It's the nature of our conversation, right? It's the energy between us. It's the connection between us. It's what makes up your body and what makes up my body. So if we take the spiritual out and we just look at the energy component, contribution, that means that energy it's pure potential and it's endless. We have plenty of it. We're not going to run out of energy anytime in our future. And so this is important to recognize, because you can't contribute if you don't have something. Now, what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is this feeling and awareness of abundance, of I have enough. When we feel like we have the attention of somebody that we are romantically interested in, we relax. And then all of a sudden, people say to me all the time, well, as soon as I got in this relationship, all of a sudden these women and these men started coming around. Before I couldn't find anybody. Where were they? When I was single. It's because all of a sudden you're in abundance. You have, and you have plenty to give. And when you have with the plenty to give, there's no desire for you to try to get or draw or take. And so all of a sudden people just feel this natural flow coming from you, and they're drawn and attracted to that. So here's my point, right? This is the critical component that I want people to hear. You were talking about contribution. Remember the Play-Doh Fun Factory when we were little?
Yes.
Do you remember that? Okay. Remember the Play-Doh Fun Factory had this, you put the Play-Doh inside of it. It looked like a big like press, and you put these little designs in front of it. It could be a circle. It could be like little spaghetti, like little tiny holes. It could be a star, right? And you push down on that press and it pushes out, pushes the Play-Doh through that mold. The problem in most people's lives is the mold that they're receiving the abundance through, meaning the filter that's in their brain, how they think about themselves, how they believe about themselves, what they accept into their life. And so if I'm wearing the mold or the filter of scarcity, the universe will pour abundance into me. The problem it will take the problem is it will take the shape of scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
So I will get an abundance of scarcity. I will get an abundance of fear. I will get an abundance of loneliness. The moment we go, oh, hold on, I just want an abundance of love in my life. I want an abundance of finances in my life. I want an abundance of friends in my life. I want an abundance of joy in my life. Then change the filter and be in the presence to receive the joy, the love, the financial abundance, the just openness, the raw
Mm-hmm.
connection. And then all of a sudden, when you're in that space, then you receive an abundance of that. So a minute ago, when I talked about softening the muscles on my face, the muscles on my body, and being in touch with the soft place in my heart, there's an abundance because in these moments, I'm in the presence. And when I'm in the presence, I feel that consciousness. I feel that awareness. I feel that presence. I feel that knowing, and that's abundance. That's pure potential. It can be turned into anything. I can take that energy and I can say, okay, I want to take this energy and I want to turn it into financial abundance. But most people won't be financially abundant because they don't feel like they deserve it. I hear all the time, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And I've said these things to myself in the past too. And I've gone through my money issues. I've dropped in the hole, climbed out, fallen in the pit again, got out, fell in again, right? And back out again. So here's the point. The point is that as you get out, you realize, what am I doing wrong? Ask yourself in terms of money or anything, right? Just substitute the word money in this case for love, romance, connection with my children. What mistakes am I making around fill in the blank? What mistakes am I making around fill in the blank? And so if we look at this, what mistakes am I making around leadership? I'm not actually speaking with my authentic voice. I'm letting the people that I'm supposed to lead tell me what they want. I'm not actually being honest about what I believe is true. What are the mistakes I'm making around money? Um, I don't believe I'm worthy. I'm not good enough. But the truth is, if all of you is God, if there's nothing about you that is not the divine, the mistakes only allow you to realize, oh, that didn't work. Okay, cool. Thank you. That was a great opportunity for me to see that doesn't work. So let me go this way. Oh, that worked. Oh, that didn't work. That worked. That worked. That worked. Maybe that didn't work. So all we're doing is constantly refining. So ask yourself, what filter are you choosing to look at the world through? Anger, fear, frustration, disappointment, lack, scarcity? Or are you looking at it through like pure abundance, pure potential, love, generosity, patience, humor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Leadership starts within before you can truly contribute externally in the most powerful way.
Right. And it's not that it's not just that it starts within, but it starts with awareness, right? So there's several layers. And I'll just give you my first three. Number one is that level of awareness. Like, who am I? Inside my mind, inside my body. If I relax and I just become present, don't even worry about the presence. Don't even get spiritual about it. I just come into the present. You can hear the tone of my voice change. I come more into this masculine side of me, right? I come into the very physical, solid piece of who I am as a man. And I'm not doing that because I'm putting on a show. That's just what naturally happened. And as I was aware of the way my voice was changing, because I was coming out of my heart and that soft place of my heart, I was coming into the solidness, the physicality of my masculinity, of my manhood. And
Mm-hmm.
when I do that, all of a sudden my voice changes. And now I'm aware of what my body needs, what my body wants. I'm aware of what's around me. My attention is focused differently because I'm very much in my masculine. And the second step is now take responsibility. What am I going to do with that power? Right? How the awareness tells me what I am and what I want and what I believe in and how I want to move. Right? And that leads into taking responsibility. When you say, how do I want to move? What do I want to do with this power? What's the next step? I teach something called PDA, power, decision, action. Right? So there's three steps. I'm going to come right back to the third. So the first was awareness. The second was taking responsibility. So let me sidestep for a moment and talk about PDA, power, decision, action. Power, decision, action. Notice there's a gap. Power, relish in that power. Find a way to get in your alignment. Maybe that's prayer, maybe that's meditation, maybe that's jogging, maybe that's working out, maybe that's journaling, maybe that's just standing and being very physical and feeling your physical body and just allowing your breath to settle into from your waist down and allowing love and kindness and softness when you breathe in to enter your upper body from your waist up. And then when you exhale, packing all of that down from your waist down into your legs and becoming very, very solid, right? So you're in your power. When you're in your power, that's when you can make a decision. Many people in the world will not actually step up as leaders because they don't know how to make a decision. They're afraid to make decisions. They're afraid to make decisions because they're lacking confidence. When you get in your power, then you're in your confidence. And then you don't make a decision, but rather the decision is made through you, because you may say to yourself something like, okay, what do I want to do next? Boom. And it comes through. Okay, what's next on my priority? Boom, and it comes through you. Okay, what needs to get done now? Boom, and it comes through you.
Okay.
There's an instant knowing. Yes.
Yeah, explain that a little bit more. So there are a lot of people that I speak to, or clients that come forward who say,
Yes.
I know I'm here to do something great. I can't figure out what it is.
Right.
Maybe explain that, the boom you just said, explain that a little more. How did I get to that where they're actually getting the answers about why they're here?
Okay. So a lot of times, first and foremost, let's think about like, what am I here for? Many people wrap that in, what am I here to do work-wise or business-wise or career-wise? Some people may go, I just want to paint. I just want to hike. I just want to be in nature. I don't really care what I do for a job. I just, as soon as I get off work, I just want to go and paint. I want to go out and hike. I want to go sit in nature. I want to go camping in the weekend. Great. Like, what calls you? What draws your soul out? Right. So if we look at a wine glass or a champagne glass that's dropped and being recorded, video recorded, right? And we drop it and it, floats down and then hits the ground and shatters. And as soon as everything settles, we now rewind that recording. And as we rewind it, let me try that again. As we rewind it, wow, that's a tongue twister. As we rewind it, we look at the last shard that broke off from the wine glass or the champagne glass last. That's the one we return to. So we ask ourselves, what would I rather be doing right now? One of the questions that I ask myself and I teach my clients is, how is my thinking right now stopping me from living the life I want? How is my thinking right now stopping me from living the life I want? Then the follow-up question is, and what do I want to do about it? So immediately what happens is there's a yearning inside your heart. And that's because the heart is very closely linked and tied to the soul. And so you'll feel that yearning. Okay, how's my thinking right now stopping me from living the life I want? And what do I want to do about it? You will have a pull, you will have a yearning, and trust it. Physically walk in that direction. Physically allow your arms to lift up. Physically move your body. Physically open that book. Physically get up and go outside and get in the car. Physically go to the store. Physically go and pick up that book. Whatever it is, like literally there will be a movement that draws you. And you may not know where it's taking you, but trust me, it's literally rewinding the shattered champagne glass and putting all the pieces back together when you start to listen to that calling inside of you. Did that answer the question you were looking for?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So if I just back up really quick, when you get to that state of power, when you get into your alignment, there will be a stillness inside of you. Now, silence and stillness are different. There will be a stillness, there'll be a presence, there'll be a peace inside of your being. And when you say, okay, what do I want to do now? Okay, what's next? There may be times when nothing comes. So stay in that stillness, stay in that power. And at some point, I've literally sat, this is no lie, I've literally sat for 2 hours. And then I, in essence, wake up doing something. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I need to be doing now. My being just needed to be present. There's a great story, and I know I feel like I'm all over the place, but I'm going to tie everything together. There's a great story that talks about this. I don't know if it's in English or American, but in this case, in my mind, it's this English explorer with the little khaki shorts, and little khaki short sleeve shirt, and the khaki wide brimmed hat, out in the middle of the African jungle, and he's got his tribesmen that he's hired to carry all of his stuff, because that's how the explorers travel. They've got their books and their trunks and their telescopes and all this stuff, and their tables and chairs and tents. And so one morning he wakes up and he goes to the tribal leader of all of the tribesmen that he's hired. And he says, hey, pack everything up this morning. I want to be on top of that ridge by nightfall. And he walks away and he starts packing up all of his stuff and getting ready. A couple hours later, he comes back and he's like, why is everybody still sitting here? I said, I wanted to be on that ridge by nightfall. Let's go get everything packed up. And the tribal leader for the tribesmen said, no, we don't go today. He said, yeah, we do go today. I'm the one paying you. I say we go. So today we go. Pack everything up. Let's go. And the tribal leader, hear the word? The tribal leader, listening to what was inside of him, said, we don't go today. What do you mean we don't go today? I say we go. What do you mean we don't go today? And the tribal leader, again, listening to what's inside of him, said, today we wait for our spirits to catch up. Today we wait for our spirits to catch up. They were tired. They were exhausted. They didn't want to work. They just needed to be. They just needed to be. And so this is really important for people, that when you're in your power, you may notice I say power, decision, action. Be in the power, because no good decision has ever been made from a space of disempowerment. And even if a good decision is made, the person who made that decision in a state of disempowerment questions that decision, if they were even able to make a decision. I don't know, was this the right decision? Should I have done this or should I have done that? Oh gosh, I don't really know what I want to do. How do I fix it? But when you're in your power, if you make a decision that didn't work, you go, okay, cool, didn't work, let me switch it. Those who shift the quickest are the most successful. Those who shift the quickest are the most successful. And if you can shift, then you can lead. Because sometimes as the leader, you have to push. And sometimes as a leader, you lift up. And sometimes as a leader, you do the work so that other people get inspired. And sometimes as a leader, you say, please sit down. It's okay. I'll take care of it right now. Because the leader has to be able to fill in where it's needed. The leader has to have that awareness. Remember, let's go back to what I was talking about. So PDA, right? Power, decision, action. That A is action. So as soon as you make that decision, take that action. Don't wait. Don't check Facebook. Don't make a sandwich. Don't go get something to drink. Immediately, okay, what do I want to do now? What's next on my priority? What needs to be done right now in this moment? And if that is sit, just stay. Don't do anything. That's the action you take. And if it's like, okay, I need to go and take care of this email, I need to write this letter, I need to get that out of the way. Good, boom, immediately go and take care of that. You will feel infinitely better because you will be in alignment with your spirit. Power, not disempowerment, power, decision, action. Now, that goes back to the awareness. When you are in that state of power and you say, okay, what's next? You have to be aware of the movements inside of you, whether it's psychological or emotional or physiological or spiritual. You have to feel the movement inside of you. What are you being called to do? You don't have to understand it. That's the awareness. If I go back to my awareness, and then after the awareness, take responsibility to follow that and do something with that, because no one else is responsible for your life. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save me. We are 100% responsible for our own lives. And that means when we're in relationships, we're 100% responsible for how the relationship turns out. Not everybody's going to like that. Okay. And listen, that's not me trying to be argumentative. The only thing you can control is you. So are you showing up 100%? And most people are not showing up 100% because their partner's not showing up 100%. And that self-preservation mode, that protection protocol kicks on inside of us and says, I can't give 100% because if I give 100%, then I'm going to get my heart broken. So I've got to hold back a little. Yeah. Then the other person holds back, then you feel it, then you hold back, then they hold back. Then all of a sudden the relationship is starting to part. So take responsibility for every aspect of your life. And then the third piece that I wanted to talk about is after awareness, after taking responsibility, is releasing the resistance, letting go of the limiting beliefs. The moment you let go of anything and everything is the moment you gain everything and anything you've ever needed and wanted. It's in the letting go that you receive. Because you can never receive if you're not open. You can never let go if you're not open. You have to open so you can let go. You have to let go so you can be open, actually. Then when you start to let go, you open. And when you're open, you can receive. So power, decision, action, right? And awareness, taking responsibility for self, and I totally just forgot it. Oh, releasing the resistance or limiting beliefs, letting go of the belief that you're not good enough, strong enough, fast enough, pretty enough, kind enough, deserving enough. Just be grateful. Just be grateful.
Perfect. That is a perfect place for us to stop.
Yeah,
we're going to
awesome.
continue to talk. My God, I could talk to you for hours. This is
thank you.
Very aligned with where I am in my life as well.
Fantastic. I can't believe that we're done already. I love you. I love your audience. Thank you so much. And if there's anything that I can do for your audience, please let me know.
Yeah, so how can people stay in touch with you? Maybe you'd like to mention your website?
Sure. Just go to pjswisdom.com, pjswisdom.com, and you can reach out to me through that. And I don't know my Instagram handle yet. I'm terrible with social media. That's why I have a social media strategist. Facebook, you can just type in P.J. Dixon, Dixon, and find me. Or if people really want, to actually get connected to me, I think I sent you a link that has my free gift. So if somebody wants to jump on a 25-minute call with me, just click on that link and sign up for a 25-minute call, and let's talk about where you are in your life and see what we can do to service you and help you get back reconnected and realigned with the real true you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much on behalf of all of the people who take advantage of that. It's truly transformative.
Thank you. I love you and I love them. Mwah. I love you all. You're beautiful.
Thank you, PJ. We love you too.
Thank
Talk
you.
soon.
I hope so. Bye.
See ya.